Running and high-intensity workouts are terrible ways to lose weight because, well, they make you hungry. Very hungry. Which is the last thing you want when you're already in a calorie deficit and struggling. Instead, you need something sneaky and boring. Something the brain won't notice. And that's supposed to be walking. But does it really work? Well, this week I'm experimenting on myself, as engineers tend to do, and showing how easy or hard it is to walk 20,000 steps a day for an entire week in 3 different biomes. Holidays, weekend, and work days. That's nearly 4 hours of walking a day. Will this impulsive challenge finally break my plateau and allow me to fit inside my Ironman suit? Or will I realize this is just impossible as a father and business owner? Let's find out. We kick off day 1 by heading to our first biome for a not-so-relaxing stay at a 5-star resort in Khao Lak, 2 hours north of Phuket. Right before leaving, I made a sneaky but pricey purchase that's likely to make or break this challenge in a few days. At this point, I'm praying it will arrive in time. This challenge only has 3 rules. Number 1, walk 20,000 steps a day. Number 2, eat 1,500 calories a day. Number 3, no running, because that would be cheating. Yeah, that's not a lot of calories for a 6-foot-tall guy, but I'll come back to why I'm eating so little later and why it's super important that I stick with my diet. By the way, this is how I looked at the start of the challenge, clocking in at 178 pounds. We had an amazing first day. Sun, sand, pools, and happy hour, but only for my wife. It was great until about 8 p.m. Because even with how active I had been throughout the day, walking as much as possible and swimming, it was still far from enough. Jarvis, enable the steps counter, please.
At your service, sir.
Yeah, that's when it hit me. 20,000 steps is a lot. Nearly 10 miles. Maybe I should have thought this challenge through. And as I'm walking around the hotel like a ghost hunting the premises, I have time to think about what exactly brought me here in the first place. And honestly, the answer is surprisingly simple. Impulsivity. ADHD. Sorry. We're all thinking it. You see, on Tuesday afternoon, I was feeling bad about not losing weight for 3 weeks in a row when the idea popped in my mind. What if I just walked a lot? That shouldn't make me too hungry, and walking is easy, right? Right? Let's also double the conventional wisdom of 10,000 steps a day while we're at it, because, well, I don't do things halfway, and that will actually give us better numbers for our experiment. And that was it. That was the entire planning. Then, just like Forrest Gump, the next morning, I started walking, and I didn't stop for a week. Back to hunting the premises. I have finally completed my first 20,000 steps day. My feet were already starting to blister, and my calves were feeling tight. Things were not looking good. If day 1 took everything I had at a resort with no real responsibilities, what the heck was Monday going to look like? I didn't want to be walking around the hotels for an hour at night on day 2, again. So I tried to get an early start, yet somehow it ended up being even worse. After an early workout and a quick walk, I needed a quick stretching session. Granting, not simulated, for reasons that will soon reveal themselves. Then it was time for breakfast, starting with a protein shake before heading out to the hotel's restaurant. Look, I adore hotel breakfast buffet, like everyone else, right? Pancakes, bacon, chocolatine, croissant, Nutella. So yummy, c'est trop bon tout ça. So, yeah, here I am, eating 4 eggs, 2 small pancakes, and a black coffee. 500 calories. Yay! Alright, it's not as bad as it sounds, but why am I eating so little? Well, I'm currently on the most epic weight loss challenge ever attempted by a nerd. A grandiose journey only rivaled by Frodo's adventure. An unbelievable quest of grit matching Goku's path. Soaked in accountability and plastic. Wait, what? Yeah, you see, in just a few weeks, I need to fit inside my very own 3D printed Iron Man suit. Fueled by this insane physical constraint as a goal, which apparently only I fully understand, I'm already down 25 pounds. And I'm so excited because honestly, it's working way better than I expected. For the first time in my life, I actually think I can get a six-pack. At 36, finally! So if you want to see if that actually happens, please subscribe. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers before the end of this challenge, so I would really appreciate the support. And there's a giveaway coming too. And just to give you some more context, this was my starting point 3 months ago. Now it's time to go do some holiday activities because we're not the kind of people who just stay at the hotel. First, a quick hike to a waterfall, then exploring the mangroves, then a late lunch. And while you see me enjoying food, keep in mind I'm carrying a small foldable scale and tracking everything, to the great enjoyment of my wife. Think about what she has to deal with. Her husband bought a scale on a holiday. And after that meal, she had the best idea. She suggested that I walk back to the hotel. Yes, that's what a supportive wife looks like. She wasn't trying to punish me, I think. Sadly, by the end of the day, even with all my prep and long walks, I was still short 6,000 steps at 7 p.m. Aïe aïe aïe. Quel cauchemar. Which led to the dullest thing I've ever done in my life. And I've done a lot of dull things. I walked around the hotel room for an hour. And obviously, that gave me time to think. Once again, my mind wandered. The amount I was walking brought me back to one of the longest hikes I ever did. The Samaria Gorge in Crete. Beautiful place, 12 miles long. So as I was going back and forth in a 40-feet long hotel room, I realized I was kind of redoing that hike. Except, instead of mountains and rivers, I was passing a bed and a TV, hundreds of times. It's amazing where life will take you if you let it. Anyway, as you're watching me zoom around the room like a human Roomba, it's probably a great time to like the video if you're enjoying it. And if you've made it this far, comment French human Roomba, so I know you watched me survive day 2. I tried even harder to get steps in on day 3, starting with a nice and early beach walk while everyone was asleep. Sadly, walking on the beach is far from efficient in terms of steps to fatigue ratio, so after the scenic part, I ended up just walking around the hotel again. And still, it was not enough. Oh. No. We just can't. Pretty active day. I should be good in terms of steps, right? Not quite. Actually, the worst day yet in terms of remaining steps.
5,000 steps left to do. I'm sore, I'm tired, I want to go sleep. Very much so, but no, I have to make a 20k challenge doing 20,000 steps, which is probably going to take me almost an hour. Oh well. Time to go shower and sleep.
Each day had somehow gotten harder than the last, but I was hoping going back home the next day would finally make things easier. Spoiler alert, it absolutely did not. The worst was yet to come. And to add to that, as I'm trying to speed through a few more thousand steps, it's time for a quick secret. Because you might not notice it, but I'm actually struggling to finish those 20,000 steps every day because my left hip is pretty messed up. Like, needing a hip replacement before 40 kind of messed up. And because of that, my left leg is about an inch shorter than the other. I compensate for it as best as I can with a compensating sole and 2 different flip-flops. But if I overdo things, like walking, my body starts aching in really weird ways. And every single evening, those last 3,000 steps would wake up a familiar pain in my hip. The uncomfortable sensation that I was pushing it just a bit too far. But I had to keep going. So yeah, the grunting during my stretching session earlier, very real. It was time to leave this paradise to go back home, to Phuket, a place many also consider paradise. Anyway, I expected the weekend to be easier, yet somehow it got harder. I'm not sure if it was due to the accumulated fatigue from walking, from my hip, from living on 1500 calories a day, or all of those combined, but I was starting to struggle with waking up early. Alright, we're home, and I've got a lot of packages to open, and I also need to get started on printing stuff again. Okay, I think I'm gonna walk to buy some food for lunch. It's almost 2 p.m. and I have 4,000 steps, so, probably a good idea to get more steps in. Back to good eating habits. Chicken and veggies. Yum. And we walk. As for my surprise purchase from a few days ago, it finally showed up. I thought this thing would legit save the challenge, and to be fair, it kind of did, but it also quickly became the bane of my existence. A place where I would spend hours every night slowly losing my sanity. And that evening ended up being the worst. While the treadmill got me a good amount of steps, it's also noisy as hell. And we had some guests over. So instead of locking myself in the room to walk, I kept talking with everyone while walking around the house and getting more steps. I barely made it before midnight, and my friends are probably never coming back because I spent 2 hours orbiting around them like a Roomba with anxiety issues. And I saw them holding their necks as they left. By day 5, I wasn't excited about this challenge anymore. At all. I was just trying to survive it. The dopamine that started this whole thing the previous week was completely gone. Which meant day 5 was about the one thing I was starting to really hate. Walking. But also eating healthy, drinking coffee, and building Lego with my son. And mostly being anxious about what day 6, a work day, would bring. Could I actually combine walking with working 8 hours a day? I wasn't so sure. Still, I was trying to stay proactive with my walks, going out a few times a day, and trying to do some work on the walking pad. But I was getting sick of spending so much time walking, and yet, every evening coming up short, staring at a step counter and realizing I still wasn't done. And again, things were only getting worse. I really didn't want to walk anymore. But I kept going. I'm tired. Time for a shower and House of Dragons. By this point, I'd wake up late, tired and sore every morning. And day 6 and 7 were bringing another challenge, a typical workday spending 8 hours on a computer. The main reason I bought the walking pad was to work while walking. In theory, pure genius, right? In practice, not so much. Because I can only work while walking at around 1.5 miles per hour before I start losing focus. Which meant getting 20,000 steps while working would take 6 hours. And I could do those 20,000 steps in 3 hours by power walking outside or watching YouTube. So the math was not mathing, and I quickly gave up on the idea and got back into my comfy chair. It was like sitting on a heavenly cloud, honestly. Plus, trying to track my steps with my Garmin watch while resting my hands on the desk meant I had to try all kinds of tricks. Like trying to put a watch around my ankle, which wasn't practical because I have massive ankles for some reason. or putting it in my pocket, but that never seemed as accurate as wearing it on my wrist. Very frustrating, honestly. Day 6 and 7 were pretty much the same. I was struggling to get that many steps in throughout the day and ending up having to power walk 2 hours in the evening on the walking pad to get the missing 8 to 10,000 steps, forcing my wife to wait for me to watch House of Dragon Season 2. That challenge was getting really frustrating for her. Sorry, Tilak. It's just so time consuming. My neck and back and the front of my legs, like my shins, I think it's called, are pretty sore, honestly, after like 5 days doing this.
I've still got 4,000 steps left and my hip is really painful. The right thing might be stopping now, honestly, but also I'm gonna get a hip replacement in a few years, so who cares about that hip? Just keep going.
Watching this back now, I can hear how casual I was saying that I would get a hip replacement in a few years and who cares? But in that moment, my hip genuinely hurt. And I was still 4,000 steps away from finishing that day. Honestly, the thing that kept me going at this point was you. Yes, you, Michael. Or like whatever your name is, but if it's Michael, you gotta leave a comment letting me know I got it right. But yeah, public accountability has been the driving force behind this entire Ironman weight loss challenge and every mini challenge I've taken on for it. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. Now, before I share the tier, let's lighten up the mood with a little quiz. How many days are in a week? It's wait, what? 7? Are you sure? Oh, So apparently walking a lot is not a sneaky activity your brain won't notice. In fact, it will partially fry it, and I can prove it. Because while I was attempting this fitness challenge for 7 days, starting on a Wednesday morning, it should finish on the following Tuesday evening, right? Well, something strange happened as I was reviewing the footage and writing the script. I couldn't make sense of the days. I was absolutely sure we had left for the trip on a Thursday. So, yeah, apparently I kept the challenge going until Wednesday evening, going for one more, as Nick Bear would say. So in the end, I walked 20,000 steps for 8 days. Oops. I guess it can't hurt. Or can it? My body was already telling me to stop the day before. My shins were hurting in a way I had genuinely never felt before. Yet, here I was, doing one more completely unnecessary day of walking. Every step on the treadmill became a negotiation. 5 more minutes, then a break. 5 more minutes, then another break. But somehow, after a couple of hours, I made it through. With the challenge completed, let's take a look at the result and see if it was worth it. I dropped 2.5 pounds in 1 week, so it definitely worked. Amazingly so. And most importantly, the suit fits a little bit better now. But was it worth it? Absolutely not. The time investment and the toll it took on my body were way too high. But at the same time, I was able to stick with my diet and I didn't really feel super hungry at any point. So the premise was right, but my execution was just too much? Yeah, that's pretty on brand for me. Still, it showed me why 10,000 steps is a much more reasonable goal and much easier to keep sneaky. Walking actually helps me manage hunger now, and I regularly go for a quick walk when I'm feeling hungry. And somehow, that hunger just disappears.